Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to begin on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom, Aleichem Hashet, Aleichem Elyon. Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lachem Shalom, Malchei Hashem. Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Tzeitichem l'shalom, malachei hashalom,
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. It's so good to see everybody here, and welcome to those who are live streaming. We're delighted that you are with us and hope that you will participate in the singing and the readings, even though you are sitting in the comfort of your living rooms or around the kitchen table. We're going to continue with our service now with the blessing for the Shabbat. For Shabbat, for the lighting of the candles, it's my pleasure to welcome forward Maida Barron, who is going to lead us in the reading and in lighting the candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
I want to just say a word or two about a very surprising and unexpected element in a prayer that we know very, very well. The Vashamru. We sing Vashamru very regularly, and some of you may know that This is a paragraph from the Bible, Exodus chapter 31. It's about keeping Shabbat. And I want to read a couple of verses, and I think you'll find a surprise here. The Israelite people shall keep the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It shall be a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Not only is the Sabbath for our rejuvenation and reinvigoration, it's for God's rejuvenation and reinvigoration as well. The Hebrew, uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, comes from the word nephesh, one of the translations of which might be soul, but not in the dualistic sense of soul and body. Soul, in its original understanding, is the vital element of each human being, the psychic energy with which we live our lives, the essence of who we are. God, according to this passage, needs to be besouled God's self. God is in need of reinvigoration as well. What is daring about this is that the author personalizes God and suggests that just as we need times to step back and reinvigorate our lives, so too does God. With so many tasks, so many things to do, also, like us, needs to step back and to have God's soul renewed. I want to continue now on page 7. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. We turn now to page 26, and as you are able, I invite you to rise for the Chatzi Kaddish. Amen. B'chayeichon u'vyomeichon Israel bagala V'zman kariv Amen. U'malal me'al maya yitbarach B'richu Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran bi'alma Amen. Together, praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. You may be seated. And we continue now on page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Shema Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Va'ed. Together. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. We turn now to page 36 and join together in the chanting of the V'ahavta.
V'ahavta
Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi tzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'nibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shachbecha v'kumecha kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha
וכתבת
המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך
למען
תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוות
מצוותיי, והייתם
קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם
אשר
הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים.
אני
Adonai Elohechem. Let's read together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Let's continue reading together on page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom aleinu, kol amo Yisrael, va'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות באים עולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש,
ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת,
לעשות את השבת.
לדורות ברית עולם.
We turn now to page 46, and I invite you to rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sefati tiftach ufiai tehillateh. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Vanora, El Hayom, Kohumel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, אתה גיבור לעולם מרנאי, מחייך כל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הצל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחייך כל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
You may be seated. And we continue now on page 61. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Let's continue together. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, eternal one, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom.
Shalom, Arav Yisrael, Amacha, Tasim, Shalom, Arav Yisrael, Amacha, Tasim, Leolam, Ki
We have several moments now for silent prayer.
Say shalom, shalom, bimromav. Say shalom, aleinu. Ve'alakom Israel, v'yimeru amen. Say shalom, aleinu v'al kol Israel. Say shalom, shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'alakom Israel, v'yimeru amen. Ve'alakom Israel,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are home. I think I'm going to step forward. Leave my notes and step forward. We are at this moment on the Shabbat that precedes Shavuot, and the Shabbat of the beginning of the reading of a new biblical book, the book of Bamidbar, the first Torah portion of the book of Bamidbar. And so I'd like to try to share a few thoughts with you about this moment that we find ourselves in. First, a moment of background, if I may. The rabbis have been counting Torah portions and have been trying to understand the flow of the Torah portions and of our commandments through the Torah portions for approximately 1,000 years, maybe a little over 1,000 years. And in the counting of not only the chapters and the verses of the Bible and the Torah portions, but also the commandments, there are a number of really important moments, and one of them occurs in the 13th century, wherein we come up with what seems to be a really definitive counting of our commandments according to the order in which they appear in the Torah. So, just by way of background, according to Sefer HaChinuch, composed by Rabbi Aaron Halevi in the 13th century, one of the students of Nachmanides. Our commandments start in the third Torah portion of the book of Exodus, the Torah portion of Bo, because that's when Moses starts to be the leader of the nation Israel. That's when Moses starts to go in front of Pharaoh, and the commandments end, all 613 of them, start in the third Torah portion of the book of Exodus and end in the third Torah portion before the very end of the book of Deuteronomy, Vayakhel. So we have 613 commandments in order from Bo, almost the very beginning of the book of Exodus, all the way to almost the end of the book of Deuteronomy, the third Torah portion before the end of the book of Deuteronomy, the life of Moses and the notion of Moses giving us the Torah. Torah tzivalanu Moshe, Moses has given us Torah. This is where the commandments come from. And according to our counting of the commandments, according to our counting of the commandments as they occur in our Hebrew Bible, and by the way, this is what most rabbis speak about in traditional Judaism, you know, every Shabbat, these notions of the commandments and what we're commanded to do on a week-by-week basis. There are only 3 Torah portions, besides the very last 2 Torah portions. Ha'azinu v'zot ha'bracha, the 2 last Torah portions wherein Moses departs the scene and Joshua takes over. There's the blessings, the song of Moses and the blessings of Moses, and Moses departs the scene. There are only 3 Torah portions wherein there are no commandments. Between Bo and Vayakhel, there are only 3 wherein there is not a single commandment. One of them is Pekudei in the book of Exodus, which describes the creation that's been taking place of all the elements of the Mishkan and the clothing of the priests and so on and so forth. And it all occurs according to the Torah portion, according to what had already been commanded by God to Moses. There isn't a single commandment in the whole of Pekudei. And the third is Balak, the story of Balak, Bilam, the story of the curse of the Israelites that turns into a blessing. This is the third Torah portion, wherein there isn't a single commandment. And then there's another Torah portion in the middle, where there isn't a single commandment. And that's the Torah portion of Bamidbar, our Torah portion today. Not a single commandment in this Torah portion. And it's an interesting moment because we're about to receive the Torah. Shavuot is the holiday wherein we receive the Torah, and Bamidbar is the Torah portion we read right before Shavuot, right before we receive the Torah. You might have thought we would have an especially copious Torah portion with lots of commandments so that we can really study and prepare for the receiving of the Torah on Shavuot. No, there isn't a single commandment in this Torah portion. And Bamidbar is almost always the Torah portion we read before Shavuot. The rabbis ask themselves, what is going on here? Why is this? By the way, the Torah portion we read right after Shavuot, the longest Torah portion in the Bible, 176 verses, lots of commandments, lots of material. Anyway, before Shavuot, we're preparing for Shavuot. Where is the commandment? What do we do to prepare for Shavuot? Why is it that there isn't a commandment here in the preparation of Shavuot? And how does it speak to us in terms of where we are right now in preparation for Shavuot in the midst of the counting of the Omer? So I'd like to just share a couple of thoughts and maybe a couple of blessings for us toward Shavuot. The first relates to the very beginning of the Torah portion. The very beginning of the Torah portion of Bamidbar. So, וידבר אדוני אל משה במדבר סיני באוהל מועד, ביום הראשון לחודש השני, השנה השנית, לצאתם מארץ מצרים לאמור. So God spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert at the tent of meeting on the first day of the second month of the second year after their exodus from Egypt. Vayomer, and God says, right? And God says, count the children of Israel. Right? Pekod kol rosh adat bnei Yisrael lemishpechotam leveit avotam. Count every single person in the congregation of Israel and the houses of their ancestors and their families. The very beginning of the book of Numbers starts with the counting, the census of the people Israel. We're about to go into Shavuot, and the commentators, and especially Abravanel, tell us something really important about this moment. As we're about to prepare to receive the Torah on Shavuot, we're not coming alone. We're coming with our ancestors, and we're coming with our families. The families who are with us, and the family that is not with us. We come together. The Torah is not just ours. It is not just our legacy. It is not just about what we are receiving on Shavuot straight from Mount Sinai. It has come to us through generations. It has come to us through our families. It is the Torah of our ancestors. And it is the Torah of our families. And so, I want to say to all of you today, first of all, I hope that we reach the moment of Shavuot not alone and not feeling alone, but feeling our ancestors and feeling our family and feeling those who are here and feeling those who are not here with us as we receive the Torah. And then there is the notion of where we are now toward Shavuot. We're in the midst of this last week of the counting of the Omer. And you know, the Omer is this complicated period in terms of the way we live our religiosity. The Omer is a difficult period because it's a period of preparation and it's a period of sadness. During the Omer, traditional Jews don't cut their hair. There's a whole number of other things that we do not do during the Omer. It is said in Tractate Yevamot of the Babylonian Talmud that during the time of the Omer, between Passover and Shavuot, 12,000 pairs of the disciples of Rabbi Akiva perished. And it is said that they perished because ki lo nahagu kavod ze bazeh, they did not treat each other with dignity and with respect. Which comes to teach us something about this moment of the Omer and what we're called upon to do when we treat each other. There is a magnificent teaching of a rabbi who lived in the late 18th and 19th century, Heinrich Alexander. He was called a Hasidic rabbi, who explained to us that the Omer is divided into two periods, divided by Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, which occurs 2/3 of the way into the Omer. And so there are 32 days before and 17 days after. And Rabbi Heinrich Alexander teaches us these 32 and 17 days are translated into Lev Tov. Lev, heart, Tov, good, a good heart. Why? Because the Hebrew letters have a numerical value. The letter Lamed, the L sound, 30, Vet, 2, 32, and Tov, 9 and 6 and 2, together 17. Calling upon us on the days of the Omer to bring ourselves up to having a good heart towards the receiving of the Torah on Shavuot. We're now in the last week of the Omer. This is it. This is the Shabbat of Bamidbar. This is the moment wherein we truly prepare for the receiving of the Torah. This is what we are called upon to do. I don't know if you're aware of it. In the 6th chapter of the Saying of the Fathers, in the 6th chapter, there are 48 attributes listed according to which the Torah may be received. None of them are commandments. All of them are character attributes. And all of them, according to this Rabbi Heinrich Alexander, all of them amount to a lev tov, a good heart. And I just was thinking about what Rabbi Klein said a moment ago with regard to the Veshamol. And the notion of God having to somehow besoul itself in the context of what is occurring here in the Veshamol. And I was sitting here and reminded of another element that relates here to Shavuot. In Tractate Shabbat of the Talmud, in the 9th chapter, toward the end of the chapter, between pages 88 and 90, the Talmud goes through a huge long set of descriptions of what happened the moment before the receiving of the Torah. Right before the receiving of the Torah, what was going on? What was happening? What was happening as Moses was ascending the mountain, as Moses was ascending Mount Sinai? What was going on? And there is a teaching right in the middle of that passage, towards the end of the chapter, towards the end of chapter 9. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi is quoted as teaching. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, when Moses went up to Mount Sinai, היה הקדוש ברוך הוא קושר כותרות לאותיות, כותרים לאותיות. The Holy One was tying together the last crown-like decorations to the letters of the Torah, was attaching the last decorations to the letters of the Torah. For those of you who have ever seen a Torah scroll, there are letters that are decorated with these three sticks, if you like, these three ink sticks that look like a crown. Some of the letters of the Torah are decorated with this. In other words, God was putting together the very last elements of the decorations on the letters, the very last elements of the letters, as Moses was going up to the mountain and as Moses was encountering God, preparing to receive the Torah from God. We don't know what happened there. We don't know what Moses did, what Moses said. It doesn't say anything. All it says then is, Amar lo, God said to Moses, Ha'en shalom be'ircha, is there no peace in your city? Is there no peace that you can bring to me from your city, from your community, from where you are? Is there no peace in your city? You're not bringing me, you're not giving me peace, God says to Moses. To which Moses responded saying, Hayesh Eved shenoten shalom lerabo? Is it possible that a mere servant, a lowly servant, would offer peace to the master? The master with a capital M? To which God responded, Haya lecha le'azreni. You should have supported me. Which I was reminded of when we spoke about the Veshamru a moment ago, because you know how we say, Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. It is up to God to bring to us peace. It is up to God to share God's peace with us here on earth. Well, this Talmudic story tells us something different. It tells us that before we receive the Torah, it is up to us to bring peace even to God. It is up to us to support God, let alone to bring peace to each other and to support each other. And so, as we prepare for the holiday of Shavuot, I want to leave you with this blessing. That you reach this moment of Shavuot and the receipt of the Torah, not feeling alone, but feeling surrounded. And surrounded by ancestors and by family and by those who are here and those who are not here. That we should all be counted at the moment of receiving the Torah. That we should come to the moment of Shavuot wherein we receive the Torah with a lev tov, with a good heart. That we remember the lesson of what happened to Rabbi Akiva's disciples. That we treat each other well and with dignity. And that we bring peace and we bring support. That Torah is not something that we just receive from the heaven and are somehow endowed with. It's a partnership. It's a collaboration. It's something we do together. And that in order for Torah to function, it's up to us to bring peace. It's up to us to bring support. So that Torah among us may thrive. Shabbat Shalom. As we consider Torah and the Omer, our minds turn to those people who are in need of healing, who are in need of a special blessing, those people who are in need of our support and of our bringing them peace. And in a moment I'm going to ask you to mention the names of those who are on your minds, but I'm going to start out by sharing the names of those that you have already shared with us. We think today especially of John Goodman and Melissa Hale and Judy Horvitz, Ann Hudek, Maddie Jefferson, Sarah Bat Anshel Ramania, Richard Moore, Edith and Levi Rubenstein, and Bob Shippey. If you are right now thinking of others whom you wish to mention, I ask you to say their names as my hand meets yours. Let us join together in the Mishaberach on page 253.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yishaberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. I now invite you to turn to page 282 and please rise for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol la'teitinu la'liotzer brishit shalom wasatnu kigoyecha aratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adam shalom zamecha kenu kachem v'gor aleinu kichol amonam va'anachnu orim u'mishpachim modim lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'hoya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu v'yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. At this moment in our service, our minds turn to those who are not with us, to those who have made us who we are, to those upon whose shoulders we stand. At this moment, we especially think this week of those for whom we are within the Shiva period, for those who were laid to rest within this last week. We think of Lorraine Miller and Betty Roxham. We also think of those who were laid to rest within the last 30 days, for whom we are within the Shloshim period. Muriel Hope Cohen, Edwin Dolinsky, Jean Greenbaum, John Schindler, Don Stone, Kristen Gibbons, Etta Cantor, Sandra Charlene Wager, Arnold Robert Blitzer, Dr. Terence Allen Messerman, and Linda R. Palumbo. And we recall with love those whose yahrzeits occur at this time. Shirley Appisdorf, Esther Asherman, Samuel Barnett, Max S. Bergman, Donald M. Blauschild, George H. Chertoff, David Dobby, Nathan L. Dowby, Ann Derry, Goldie Dorsey, Robert L. Rad, Arthur Elsner, Irma H. Fleshheim, Nancy Friedman, Edith W. Gans, Marion B. Garson, Jura Galen, Anna Grossman Geiger, Josephine Greenfield, Eugene Greiner, Samuel L. Haver, Lillian Gilbert Hockman, Ann Candy, Nickman Jacobson, Addie Kasowitz, Dan F. Klein, Israel Klein, Herman Cohn, Bertram H. Lefkowitz, Edward H. Leidner, Philip A. Leiner, William H. Loveman, William E. Newman,
Gilda Pollock, Julius Pollock, Margaret E. Reinheimer, Lea Kaufman Rosen, Jetta Rosenberg, Lina Rosenfeld, Audrey S. Rosenthal, Libby Samuels, Edna F. Schaffner, Leon Schaffner, Ronald Louis Schumann, Ida Schwartz, Irma R. Seed, Elise Seligman, Arthur Shore, Joseph Simon, Hermine B. Scully, Donald Spitz, Jenny Spitz, Virginia Spivak, Barbara Forsch Strauss, David Wasserstrom, Benjamin Weiss, Julius D. Weitz, Brian Elliott Werbel. If there are people whom you are mourning at this time, whose names have not just been read off this list, or if I mispronounced any of the names on this list, would you please utter these names now that we may recite the Kaddish in their honor together? If at this time you are within the Shiva period, you are mourning the passing of a loved one within the last week, I invite you at this moment to please rise. If you are now within the Shloshim period, having lost a loved one within the last 30 days, I invite you now to please rise. If you are marking a yahrzeit at this moment, I invite you now to please rise. And now, as a caring congregation, I invite us all to please rise as we turn to page 294 and we recite the Kaddish together. Please join me. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. יהי שלם הרבה מן שמיה וחיים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. May the source of peace and comfort bring peace and comfort to us and to all who mourn. And let us together say, Amen. You may be seated. At this moment, at this time, in our service, it has become our custom to turn from moments of memory to moments of recognition and of achievement to Shechianu moments. And before calling upon you to see whether you have moments that you would wish to celebrate with members of the congregation, I see, Blaise, I see. I will call upon you. Let me just say that Joan and Tobor Kornbluth will be celebrating their 49th wedding anniversary on June 9th, and we wish them a Mazel Tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel Tov. So,
This weekend is my mom's birthday on the 21st.
On the 21st.
On this weekend on Sunday.
Happy
on
birthday to
Sunday,
your mom,
happy
Cheryl.
birthday to
Me
Sharon.
and Jack have a Brownie Brothers Stagecrafters audition.
Very nice.
Wonderful. Good luck.
Good luck on the
Good luck
auditions, both
and
of you.
wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else with a special Shechianu? James.
On the 7th of June, I will be, excuse me. 7th of June, I will be. 7th of June, I will be taking a vacation to Ireland.
James, we wish you a safe journey to Ireland and a wonderful time on that isle, in that magnificent place, and look forward to hearing about it when you return. Safe travels. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, what a great moment to travel to the Emerald Isle. Terrific. Anyone else? Any other Shechianu moments? Well, let us join together in the Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh.
Amen. I believe that our closing song is going to be Adon Olam, which may be found on page 323.
Rabbi, I apologize. I wrote the wrong page number down. It's actually on page 321.
321.
Slicha. Let's all sing together.
Adon olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ein nahasa v'chatzo kol hazayin malach shemon yikra v'yacharei kikot hakol livato yimoch nora v'chu haya v'chu hove v'chu yiyeh b'tifara v'chu echad ve'ein sheni lecham shilo lechach bihira v'li reishi v'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'chamizra v'chu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur havli v'eit sahara v'chu nisi u'manosli menot kosi v'yom bekra v'yado afkidu ruchi v'eit isha v'ya'ira v'ima ruchi g'viyati Adonai li b'lo yira.
I'm now going to call upon some help for the Kiddush and the Motzi.
Jack, do you want to help too? Jack.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesho b'yahava u'b'ratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishi ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra kodesh zeichel yetziat Mitzrayim ki vanu b'charta v'yotanu kidam
job, Jack. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Adonai oz ve'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. May the source of life give us the strength to be good to each other, to treat each other with dignity, to bring peace and support to each other, and to allow Torah to thrive in our midst. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom.